welcome to another video from me. This is about something that popped up once in a while in the forums and got recently again mentioned, and also seems to be one of the most requested things lately in terms of when it comes to survival mode. Survival mode has 4 maps. Everyone knows them who actually plays them: Owen, Trigon, Foss, and Happiness Home. So after 2 years of consistent rotating between those 4, people know that the next one in the 3rd season, I'm calling them season, will be again the same. It starts again with Owen, so we get a 3rd time Owen. We never got a new map since then. So people obviously are hungry for new encounters, a new scenery, uh, just something new, not always the same bosses. The only time where we had some real changes in the survival mode was Owen last year, where they switched out a couple of encounters for recent added War of the Light encounters way back. And yeah, this isn't nothing. I mean, Foss was a blank copy of last year. Trigon actually the same. Happiness Home, the only change was the laser nerf, which caused to make the whole survival mode too easy. The only thing that held people back was the mechanic encounter of round 20. What that's it. So yeah, people on the forums got asked or are requesting new maps, and what pops up all the time is, well, you might guess it already, it's Throne of the Dead. Now, I'm not the person who jumps in and says, yay, give me Throne of the Dead, because it's the best perfect solution to everything, because there is some pro and cons to the whole thing. And I want to explain my pros to it, that most people already know anyway, because it's shared with the community, and the cons as well, because something that gets often out of sight is what's in the map causes a lot of issues, and what people next to exploit it over time. So obviously this would be the starting area as it is always, and they will potentially just add a teleporter here, like keeping it closed and add a teleporter. So this is the main room. It looks really good. This looks here, but yeah, well, yeah, it looks nice, doesn't it? I mean, I hope they would give us this kind of thing, because here this is after done the raid. The mother of Wonder Woman is gone to heaven, and yeah, it looks pretty good now without this green whirlwind thingy. So I just going on with the pros. The pros is it's a new map. Yeah, well, new map in terms of what it is. I mean, it's it's kind of big map, but it's not as big as, for example, Foss. Foss is really huge. And Trigon is so small. I've always felt Trigon is way too small. What you have here is, look where you could potentially bring in the bosses. You have one spot here, you have a spot here, and there are really far off options. In between, you have areas in between. You can even keep them closer. They will make the bosses probably spawning on these doors. I hope something like that. Maybe add something, so maybe closing these doors, that would be great actually, that they close these doors so you actually know where always the bosses spawn, so it doesn't feel confusing. It needs to be an indicator for it. Actually, that reminds me of that we need a 3rd slot where ads spawn, right? So the worst case they could do with Throne is having 4 doors open, and only 3 of them ants coming out, and you never know where the 4th will be. So people will literally end up hiding in a corner, like, I don't know, here or something like that. Well, this is something they need to address, because we have right now in all these survivor modes, we have a 3-door concept. Happiness Home has 3 sides. Foss has clearly 3 spawn sites. I don't know how they would do it here, but they're probably doing it just spawning them in somehow. I don't know. Or they spawning them in. I don't know. Well, this is something the devs have to figure out here. So this is one. Bosses. I think Throne and the whole Halls of Hades Part 2 had a lot of interesting bosses. I mean, the first that comes to mind that everyone mentions is Cerberus, and Cerberus would definitely deserve something like around 10 or so. Ares, Hades, the judges. There's a lot of bosses that are not just easy to spot in and you will be fine. You will have to um, adjust these bosses specifically for this concept. Well, the judges have that one with the AoE, purple AoE. That would be just perfectly fine to have this kind of concept in. They could even just have the judges only, because they are like 3 bosses. So, and it doesn't need an extra boss. What else? Then just this one. We have Ares, Hades, the judges, and lots of ads. Yeah, ad waves. There is also the Punisher. This is just an hilarious ad for survivor mode. It will literally be a challenge to all these average groups. Well, let's call them average groups. Those who literally don't want to deal with mechanics, and they will just keep standing in the Punisher and will be like, oh cool, I'm dead. And same for Bowmaster, because this Bowmaster is deadly. It's not like others. Like, can't remember. The assassin in Fossil Alamo is also pretty late. Actually, most of these ads are just got ripped off in the Fossil Survival mode. So this will be probably the more annoying part of it, because it will not feel fresh. The ad parts won't feel fresh. For those who don't Foss Survival mode, the ad parts won't feel fresh, because Foss adopted a lot of those own ad mechanics into this. So the Bowmaster is already used there, the Punisher is used, all those stuff is already used. It would be hilarious if they could somehow utilize on round 10 the outside room. I don't know if they can do that. I mean, we remember it was really heavy exploited in the past until they fixed it. They had to literally make those rooms useless. They were great. The concept to have these pillar in the middle and you could get back to the middle, and it literally was not just straight up, you had to really move, check what you do. But then people exploited these doors, remember? I was a bit sad, but yeah. Anyway, then we have the other 2 maps, you know, Halls of Hades, Cerberus. I just said that Cerberus is probably the most interesting of all. Question is how to make a lot of these things proper work, because Cerberus is used to be part of the environmental exploration of Halls of Hades, of the instance itself. They would have to adjust a lot of things, and I feel when they done it, people will be disappointed with it. This is my worst fear about it. So yeah. What else? There is this encounter next to the judges area there. That one is actually pretty good. Even the tank wouldn't be able to stand in there forever. So that's actually something awesome. Awesome boss. Then yeah, that key master thingy guy there in that one room. There's options, and also what's the other one called? The labyrinth. Yeah. Same with the labyrinth. But then again, labyrinth, that one boss with the spikes, with the spikes coming up, it's again an environmental boss, and even the other boss has these environmental with the fountains. Well, we have those fountains here. I could literally use those in some way. I don't think it works the way it would. The biggest challenge I see for the devs is to adjust all these bosses specifically for a survival mode that is independent of the room, or adjusted just for this room again. So there needs to be a lot of work on the bosses itself, and this is where I think people think it's just so easy to do. It's not, and this will probably cause um, to be a lot of resource heavy adjustments, and I don't know if I right now want that, because they're working on Amazon Fury Part 3, they're working on other things, the weapon pass, the power sets that have to be passed, the water power, and so on and so on. There's a lot of things they have to do right now, and the least thing I want is having them to work on such a task as Throne of the Dead, because it would mean a lot of things. And this brings me to the biggest con right now to the game, to the whole instance. It's the instance itself. It's the design of the instance. It has many flaws. The biggest flaw is these walls. These walls can be exploited. Not going too much into detail, but these walls can be exploited as well as those thingies here. Now, they could say, yeah, put something to push back here, and maybe even on top here. This is not enough. What they would have to do is literally draw a line from here to each of those fountains. Yeah, drawing a line, and either making a wall or something that will narrow down the area, or in this area here, this area is here and here, and so on. It goes on, basically everything on the outside area. They would have to add what's it called? They would have to add something like they did in Foss, this deadly area. If you get pushed back and you're not getting back immediately in, you would die. This would be an option, to be honest. That would be an option as well. So, yeah. Here, this year is literally screaming exploit. Yeah. In Owen, the first time Owen came out, it also has these walls. Everyone knows that there's the side walls for the doors there. So in the first Owen, it seems to be people haven't really thought of it, but when it came the second time on test, and we actually tested it with a dev there, we found out that you could stand on specific parts there and do not get hit by it. Yeah. So they had to add these knockbacks on those small ledges there, so you get knocked back and you cannot stand on them. And it's some similarities here, but here's also these little sneaky corners. I don't know, if you stay in this corner you probably see nothing, but everything that gets here at the side and targeted mechanics wouldn't be able to target you. The question is, if they have a boss that targets, they wouldn't be able to target you, and they make it safe for the groups in some way. This is all the problem they really would need to add here as well. And I don't know. As said, they would have to do room adjustments. It would make the room smaller. Let's face it, the room is not that this big anymore, but you have to deal with it. It's still better than Trigon. Trigon is too small. Also, the camera would work here still. Look, if I'm standing here, my camera is not acting up, aside from here, but it's not acting up as bad as on Trigon, where the camera is acting up so bad that it's sometimes so annoying that you literally, like here, this is how you play in Trigon all the time in the high round, because you have to split so heavy the stuff that you have no proper camera angle. And this is actually something that is better here solved. Anyway, back to this one. As said, they would have to change a lot of bosses just specifically for this room. They would have to change the room itself. They would have to add other fields like in Foss, which is probably the better solution than just having point blank invisible walls set. Or these walls with some greenish effect. I would say just use the ice fields, paint them green or something, and or make it a fire field, paint them bluish fire, greenish fire. Like, I mean, the stuff is there. Just use it from fire. That I don't know, is it called Inferno or something field? It could just use those kind of stuff and add those. Add those fields here and ensure that they are everywhere and not like in the latest alert where there is safe areas and people use them because they can't beat the alert the normal way. And yeah, also make maybe around I don't know what they could do around 10. Maybe have Aris. Who's it? Aris, right? No, Hades. Aris, Hades. Hades is actually the king of Underworld, so he would be probably around 10 actually, because he's the king of Underworld. So round 9 would be then maybe the dog and something else. I don't know. It's also hard to figure out what boss you want to have where, because let's face it, round 10, there's quite a few picks that would be interesting for round 10. I think the devs would put themselves in a position hard to please everyone. Let's face it, it's hard to please everyone because people have different opinions on this raid. They want it so badly that they would be probably felt let down if they release another survival mode that is not Throne of the Dead. But on the other hand, if they release Throne of the Dead, it will not live up to the standards the people have with it, and they will be let out. They will have the let down feeling either way. So I don't know. My personal opinion is, I'm on the fence between saying no, don't do it right now. Give us something that can be easier managed up. Like Cupid Cave 3, the last room is literally ready to go. Yeah, there is a bit, I think, some environmental that you have to remove, but overall the room itself is ready to go. The bosses are mostly room independent, so you can just throw them in and be fine. I don't know. Seems to be the quicker, easier solution. And even my personal favorite, I would like to have a queen bee on the moon, a queen bee survival mode on the moon. But a lot of people probably don't like the concept because queen bee is not such a big deal in the DCU. And I don't know, but I haven't seen much outside of the leveling missions and the Hive Moon Alert. And she can also make people controlling, so you can literally end up take anyone that exists in the game already. They could bring in Booster Gold, think about that, and just have Booster Gold there. Because people like hate Booster Gold's voice, they could finally spank on him in a survival mode. But yeah, that's my point. I'm really twisted on the whole Throne of the Dead survival mode. And if you have something to add, or feel like you disagree or agree with things and have other solutions whatsoever, put them up in the comments. And thanks for watching, and see you around. Bye bye.